You're listening to a special edition of the Just Go Bike Podcast. That's AKA Murph.
And that's AP. And this is the award-winning podcast where we talk about cycling just for the fun of it, with tales from all over the nation. Come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile.
On this special pre-ride edition, we're going to provide you with daily tales from the trail as we ride our bikes across the state of Iowa as a part of RAGBRAI 52.
And we apologize in advance for any background noise. We will be recording live in the wild each episode.
We will be right back.
At First Form, they're more than just supplements. They're built for performance, driven by purpose, and proud to fuel the RAGBRAI journey.
First Form helps real people earn real long-term results on the bike and beyond.
From clean energy to high-protein snacks that actually fuel you, they're here to keep you moving, recovering, and riding strong.
Come find the First Form team out on the route. Let's crush RAGBRAI together.
Now, back to the show.
Well, hello, Murph.
Hey there, AP. Another wonderful day on the RAGBRAI route inspection ride.
It was so much fun today on day 5. We rode from Iowa Falls to Cedar Falls.
Yeah. I think we've talked about this before, but day 5 for me is always one of the best days, regardless of the mileage or weather or whatever, because you're in your routine, you realize that this is your life for the past 5 days, and you also realize I only have 2 more to go.
I know. My legs felt really good today.
Yeah.
My attitude was really good today. At least I thought so.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to feel kind of bittersweet about seeing the end on the horizon.
I know. Well, we can't get to the end yet.
Let's not think about that right now.
So we're going to recap day 5, but of course we have to start with last night because we had the most excellent host, Iowa Falls, and I don't think we mentioned this on yesterday's podcast, but we got to go to see, they have a swinging bridge.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was really cool. And it was funny because Jeff Birchfield, hello, Jeff, thank you for your hospitality. But he got all of us out on the bridge. And then he's all like, I'm not really sure the weight limit, blah, blah, ha, 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 which he was joking. But there was a flash of life before my eyes of, are we going to go down into the water?
Yeah. And some of our bikers even rode across it, although I would not recommend doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those boards definitely have gaps in between them.
Yeah, but it was a very beautiful swinging bridge.
Yep.
Iowa Falls is super, super scenic, especially in the river and falls area.
Yeah.
And it was really awesome.
Yeah. And he has a great historical story about Iowa Falls, meaning the actual water falling into the river. So if you're out and about by the river, look for the falls of the Iowa River and maybe run into AP and I will tell you the story.
Yeah, I believe you can see them from the swinging bridge.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. After that, we went to Top Flight Grill for dinner, and that is a huge space. So if you're camping near there, make sure you check that place out if you want to grab dinner or have drinks. It was a very nice place.
They had axe throwing and arcade games, and I think they have a golf simulator, although I didn't spot it.
Yeah.
Just based on the name alone.
Right. But the hospitality of the entire committee for Iowa Falls is chef's kiss. They're great.
Wonderful.
Yep.
And the next morning they saw us out of town. We had a great photo by a mural, which I'm sure you'll see on social media. Mm-hmm. And we were well on our way.
Yeah. And I counted, I think 4 different times that we had to cross railroad tracks. So obviously, Matt Phippen, our ride director, along with the different officials, will be figuring out a plan. But a lot of them were not... they were kind of crooked up against the road. So hopefully everybody understands how to properly pass railroad tracks. You always want to pass so that you are perpendicular to the tracks.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sure they'll be well signed.
Yeah.
At the time of RAGBRAI, but just a heads up. And it's also polite to call out railroad tracks when you're about to cross them. Even if a bunch of other people do the same, it helps you be aware and others be aware as well. You never know who's behind you and couldn't hear the people ahead of you.
Yeah.
So I always say tracks.
Yep. And I would say all of them were easy to get over. But if you're in a sea of people, you just got to be mindful of that. But
that's right.
Anyway, okay, first stop is Ackley. They had a beautiful Freedom Rock that we spent some time hanging out around.
It was also during our visit sauerkraut days, which
that's right.
Obviously it won't be for RAGBRAI, but it's something they're known for, and it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
They're also, if you've ridden RAGBRAI before in the past, you may remember Ackley because they have a giant mural, like an ancient, I mean, not ancient, but like antique mural on the side of a building for the Bull Durham company, and it's got a big bowl, so you may remember that. But they're going to be great. Their fire station is doing a fundraiser where they're going to have coffee, juice, water, but they're also going to have homemade Mexican breakfast.
What?
Both regular,
What?
yeah, both regular and gluten-free, and they're very conscious about the gluten-free, so they're going to have two completely separate cook stations for it. So if you're someone who's a celiac and really need to be careful about that kind of thing, you can eat there, I'd say, pretty confidently because they have relatives who are celiac and they know how to be careful.
Oh,
so
that is awesome.
It's going to be tortillas with sausage, eggs, chorizo, and pancakes. So you can kind of see what kind of food that is. But it's going to be really, really delicious, and they're doing a fundraiser for the fire station.
We also spent some time at a great, great coffee shop. I believe it's called Cherish, and it's spelled Chairish.
Yeah.
Because they have all these comfortable, like, rockers, recliners, and just comfy chairs inside.
Yeah, it was a great, great coffee shop. The coffee was delicious. I wish I had room to eat any of their wares that were at there, but we were too busy eating cinnamon rolls the size of our face that we were sampling.
And that maple bacon.
Yeah. I believe the cinnamon rolls came from someone called the Bread Lady, who will be a vendor. And I think, what was the name of the guy who was doing the Silverback Meats did the bacon.
Yeah.
So
okay, and we have to talk about the Dollars for Scholars fundraiser with the airplanes, because I know you were really impressed with it, and it's something that you've never seen.
Yeah, it's pretty darn cool. So basically, they're going to have a competition. Well, it's sort of a competition with yourself where you can buy, say, 3 airplanes, and you make your own airplane. There'll be instructions, so don't worry. And there's sort of a football field that you're throwing the airplane down, and depending on where the airplane lands, you win certain prizes. And it could be, say, a cooling towel or food or other prizes, and sort of the best airplane of your 3 is the one that you get the prize for. And it's all a fundraiser for Dollars for Scholars.
And we, tested it out, and we all threw our airplanes at the same time. I did see one that went significantly farther than all the rest, but I didn't hear who did it. So
It wasn't me.
it was not me for sure, but yeah.
Well, they would have won a good prize.
And then the huge drone, we got to see a demo of, I would say it was the size of a car.
It was a very large agricultural drone.
Right.
And it was so impressive. It wasn't even that loud, but it's something that a drone that you would use to apply fertilizer or pesticides or fungicides to a crop.
Right.
A big field. And he said, the guy that was giving the demonstration said that you could program it fully so that it could even run at night because you've already plotted out the land, and it doesn't necessarily quote unquote need to see, and it can just go ahead and do its thing. It was extremely impressive, and don't worry, he was very, very, very careful to make sure that we were far away from any danger.
And I believe he's going to have it on display during RAGBRAI just to kind of, something cool to look at. But then in the same area, they're going to set up misters. Yeah. So if it's a hot day, go find the big drone, and they'll have misters set up for you.
Yeah. So then after that, we rolled a couple blocks down, and we got to see an airplane.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about airplanes to tell you what kind of airplane it was.
No, it was cool.
But it was, the cockpit was kind of open. So if you were flying, I think of it as an old timey trick airplane, but then again, thinking about it, you just fall right out of the cockpit. So it can't be that. But
I'm hoping you wear seatbelts. I don't know.
It was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
And it was neat to kind of tour their little airport and, on theme, of course, because RAGBRAI's theme is take flight. So,
okay, from Ackley, we did take flight on our bicycles to Aplington. And that was probably my favorite stretch of road of this entire trip, because we did talk to a local who said that road is only a couple years old. So it was so smooth and very flat. If there was elevation, it was just nice little rollers. So I found that ride really, really nice.
Yeah. And we Aplington is a classic favorite of RAGBRAI. They know how to host us. They're going to have all sorts of local vendors like the churches and they're fundraising for a pool once again, and several other local businesses.
I think she said that they have over 15 vendors right now signed up. And I would assume as we get closer, that it will rise even further.
Okay, so I see that we'll have grilled burgers, pickles, water, fruit, pies, energy drinks, cookies, grilled cheese, burritos, craft sodas, gourmet coffee, and more.
All I heard was pie.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was also a really cool coffee shop there called Peppercorn Pantry. And they also have a food truck called Iowa Sweets, and she also does coffee. So she was very excited. I'm going to try and get both of them on our coffee episode because they both seemed really jazzed about showing off their stuff to RAGBRAI riders.
Yeah. There's also a bar called Stinky's Bar, which is an awesome name for a bar.
It was closed, so we can't verify if it's stinky.
It was good or bad, yeah.
Yep.
And of course, we're kind of skipping the lead here, which is that it was on Parrott Street. All of this, everything we toured in Aplington was on Parrott Street, and it's spelled a little differently than my last name,
but you didn't care.
I still loved it.
Yeah. From there, Parkersburg, and that was our lunch stop, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we stopped at what's called 3rd Street Grill for lunch, and they were very accommodating with our large group, so you know that they'll be ready for a RAGBRAI crowd. There was also a really cool mural that kind of, it was different sections that all promoted the town of Parkersburg. So get your camera out and go find that.
Yeah, there'll be all sorts of food and vendors, and Parkersburg is an A+ RAGBRAI stop always. But one thing from my notes that I kind of wanted to pull out was that they're going to have several bands in Parkersburg, and we know what they are already. For example, a band called the Icebreakers. And they're also going to have a DJ, and they're going to have the AP high school choir and band performances, as well as a pop-up band. So a lot of entertainment going on in Parkersburg.
So definitely, grab some lunch when you get there and just walk around. The town is really, really cute.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the pharmacy that's on the main street there.
Oh, yeah.
They gave us some really nice drink mixes. They're delicious and supposed to be good for you. I didn't read the packet. I just drank it. I had a really
I think
good.
They're all natural. I don't know.
Yeah, I had a nice lemon lime packet.
Yeah.
So thank you to the pharmacy for letting us try that.
For sure.
Sorry.
Nope. Go ahead.
Parkersburg is also the site you may remember where they had a devastating tornado in the past. So as you head out of town, you'll see that a lot of the buildings look kind of new. And in fact, while we were riding through, I pointed out there was a place where it was just down to the foundation.
So still there.
Yeah. So just kind of a interesting fact of Parkersburg that will kind of come into play as we move on to the last pasture town of the day.
And you can definitely see the growth that they've experienced after that devastating event.
Kudos to them for coming back bigger and better than ever.
For sure. And the next town was New Hartford. Also, they had an amazing mural that was flowers. I believe that there's a picture of AP on social media in front of that mural. And they are known for their city gardens.
Yes. In fact, they're called the City of Gardens.
The City of Gardens. And the lady that we talked to told us that there are 10 city gardens. And we had such a great conversation with her to talk about, how do they fund it? How do they keep everything looking so great? And just today, they had planted a bunch of plants and flowers.
I mean, I think she said 500.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So, and in theory, they are going to look spectacular by RAGBRAI Day.
Shout out to Carol for the tour. The reason that they have so many gardens in New Hartford is because they were a part of the tornado that hit Parkersburg, but then 2 weeks later, they were hit by an insane flood.
Yeah.
Like a super, super bad flood. And FEMA came through and bought out many of the houses in the town. And apparently when FEMA does that, they then give the land to the city. And they wanted Carol and a group of people that she worked with wanted to do something that would make the community better and give residents a reason to be proud of their town again. So it was really, really neat to learn that story. And I'm sure she'll be there to give tours and things like that. But there's also information there at the biggest main garden.
And there were tons of seating and just it was very a peaceful space.
Yes.
So that would be a place, if you're just need to chill out for a little bit, to just go there and find your zen.
If they had allowed me to stay there another hour, I would have taken a nap
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. And another highlight in New Hartford is the Royal Blue Bar.
Yep.
Which is actually, as you come into their downtown, it's pretty unmissable because it is royal blue.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this will be the case when RAGBRAI comes through, but their building, it's like made out of cement blocks, and I think most of them are actually painted blue, but they're signed. They're all signed by, I assume, just people who have been in the bar. So if that's the case, then I'm hoping we can all add our names to it in July.
Yeah. So they'll have all sorts of food at the bar, and then there were also some other vendors that were sampling today.
Yep.
Burgers and some brats and some pizza.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they said, when they say, what kind of food are you going to have on RAGBRAI? They say hamburgers, brats, pizza by the slice, and alcohol. So it will be a great place to stop before you head on into Cedar Falls.
Yes. And heading into Cedar Falls, this was probably a huge highlight of the day. Do you want to talk about it?
Well, yes, because first of all, it was a great ride, and there are some minor hills. So my hill report is maybe a 3 out of 10 kind of difficulty, just to kind of mix it up and make it a little bit more interesting, as far as you've been riding on flat ground for many days at this point. So it was nice to have. But as we came into Cedar Falls, we saw that, first of all, we were stopped by several police that were what we thought were the whole escort. And then around the corner come 2 fire trucks that escort us. And they didn't just bring us into town. They drove with us for like 4.5 miles.
Yeah. It was so cool.
It was really, really special. And as we got to the downtown, there was a 3rd fire truck with a flag hanging over us.
The big ladder up. Yep.
With the ladder in the air. And it was so cool. Shout out to John, who's the fire chief. He gave us some challenge coins. It was super special.
Yeah.
And then,
oh my gosh,
there was another surprise where we got to literally ride the wave.
Yeah. Me and AP got to get in the fire boat. I'm going to call it. It's kind of like a rescue boat. It's like a one that you blow up, right? I mean, it's a inflatable. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, but it's sort of permanent.
Yeah, it's permanent, but it's made of air.
Okay, yeah.
But I guess the reason I'm saying that is because it's not the sturdiest of boats. And if you know anything about the river there, they have it set up so that it has these like rapids, like big waves. And
intentionally.
Their theme is called Ride the Wave.
Yes.
And so the guy's all like, let's go take a look at it. And then he did flip to like it was almost like a 360. We were going so fast, and he rode us right over the waves.
It was really, really incredible.
It was so cool.
We tried to take some video, but I know the people from Cedar Falls took some videos as well. So you'll see it online, but it was really, really cool. It was a fun adventure to cap off the day. What a wonderful surprise.
Yeah. Huge, huge welcome. There was all kinds of just people in the community that were cheering us on as we came in. The UNI mascots were there.
There were 3 mascots.
Yeah.
So it was just really special, unforgettable.
Yep.
Highly recommend it. If you have a chance to go out on the white waters of Cedar Falls in a safe way, I would recommend that. We just had a blast.
Yeah.
So thank you so much to Cedar Falls for welcoming us.
Yes, it was awesome. And then, of course, we got to give a shout out to one of our pre-riders, Brent Johnson, who owns the business called Bike Tech. So he's one of the major bike shops that are on the RAGBRAI route, but his actual shop, and I believe we talked about it earlier this week, used to be a post office.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're a little bit late tonight getting this episode out, because he opened up a shop and gave us a tour.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. So definitely recommend stopping by there. And downtown, where we had dinner at a place called George's.
Yeah.
It was really, really delicious. So I recommend that as well.
A huge amount of outdoor seating. So all kinds of different things.
A jazz band, a live band.
Yeah.
So very cool. Their whole historic downtown is really neat. If you've never been there before, or it's been a while since you've been there, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Yeah, it's changed 10,000% since I was here for college, but we don't have to talk about that. But I think that's a wrap for tonight. Gosh, only 2 more days.
I know. I was just telling one of our fellow co-writers that I'm going to try to milk tomorrow for all it's worth.
Yeah. And today, it wasn't necessarily short, but it was only about 51 miles. But tomorrow is only 38, and we're only in a few communities. But don't you worry, we're going to have plenty to talk about tomorrow.
Plenty to talk about, and I recommend spending as much time in these towns as possible.
Yes. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Well, listeners, that's it for today. We both want to thank you for tuning in to listen to this special pre-ride edition of the award-winning Just Go Bike podcast.
If you'd like to contact us with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media at JustGoBike on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan.
Okay, that's a wrap. We'll be back soon. Until then,
Just go bike!